of our mind, spirit, and body journey. We are now in our body segment, and after having such a great run for the mind, it seems like the body segment is getting even better. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Danielle Stetzel of Breathe Chiropractic. And she's going to take us into a subject that many of you may have never heard of. I know I have not heard of it until recently, and it is called Somatorespiratory Integration. And this is a connecting the body, mind, and bring alignment to your most coherent self. So we're going to take this journey with Danny. Our disclaimer is the opinions expressed in this presentation and are those of the presenter. They do not purport to reflect the opinions and views of the 30-day redemption or its members, officers, staff, partners, or advertisers. So help me welcome Dr. Danielle Stetzel. And Danny, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, what we're going to be talking about is, let's see. Oh, I'm pressing too many buttons. What we are talking about is SRI, or Somatorespiratory Integration. And these are tools and tricks that can help you connect to your body, better understand what your body is telling you, and really transform your experience of your body and your life. I am a network spinal chiropractor, and what that means is that I work with the nervous system so that I can help it better understand its environment, communicate with what's going on, and really change your experience of your body and your world. So the first thing we'll talk about is your nervous system. Because for many of us, we know our brain is part of our nervous system, or we might think that we know that, but we don't really know what it means. So we have two parts of our nervous system. We have our central nervous system, which is our brain and spinal cord. And from there, we have our peripheral nervous system, which goes from our spinal cord out to the rest of our body. What we're going to be focusing on is our peripheral nervous system right now. And of that, there are really three parts. We used to just think of parasympathetic, rest and digest, and sympathetic, which is fight or flight. And especially in our stressful world, we hear a lot about sympathetic, and we just think that parasympathetic is that slowing down system, which is true. But in those three parts, we'll break that down even more. So there's a hierarchy in how your nervous system works. When we feel really safe and we're able to relax into our environment, our ventral vagus can turn on. And your vagus nerve is one of your cranial nerves. It comes out of your brain and goes down to every part of your body. Your ventral vagus, ventral means front, comes down out of your neck and goes to all of the organs above your diaphragm. So it goes to your heart, your lungs, it goes to your facial muscles, and your larynx, which is your voice box. And this is a part of our nervous system that isn't fully developed when we're born, and it starts to develop more as we get human connection. So when a baby's breastfed or it's comforted by mom and dad, this is our social engagement system that starts to develop. So when we feel safe in our environment as we grow up, that's the part that can turn on. And you'll see all of the things that it does on the slide, but it really is controlling our ability to be human and have connection. When we start to feel unsafe in our environment, we go into fight or flight. And we've all heard of that at this point, and that's our sympathetic system. That lives in our trunk. So when we don't feel safe and we have to run from a bear or fight the bear, this system turns on. As a result, all of our blood goes from our digestive organs and from our trunk out to our extremities so we can get away or we can fight. It's a really, really smart mechanism for a short period of time. But we start to see problems when it's there for an extended period of time. So chronic stress and you're stuck in fight or flight generally means that you can't sleep, you aren't digesting food correctly, you start to have heart problems because your heart is working so much harder, and there are a lot of stress hormones in your body. From there, if our bodies can't self-regulate and go back into that parasympathetic mode, then what happens is that your system gets really tired and it'll continue to shut down. And that's when the dorsal vagus will turn on, and not in the healthy sense. Because even with the dorsal vagus, there are two parts. There's the rest and digest that we know of, and that is our slowing down system that allows us to digest food, allows us to sleep, and allows our body to do the processes that can help it heal. But if we are still unsafe in our environment, and let's say you got a really bad cut on your arm, or you're in a traumatic situation growing up, what happens is that this part of the dorsal vagus turns on and you start to shut down. So when we go into shock from that trauma, our digestive system also doesn't work right. You'll experience depression, fatigue, fibromyalgia. It's really telling our nervous system that we can't cope and we can't handle our environment. So we downsize our environment and downsize our lives. You can see that this isn't a good mechanism for a long period of time, but if you're going to bleed out because you have a massive wound, it's really intelligent. So all of that to say, our nervous systems are super, super smart. And sometimes they just need support. And that's where a chiropractor comes in, especially in network spinal. We're helping your nervous system adapt better. But a tool that you can use at home that network spinal chiropractors will use is called Somatorespiratory Integration. And that's what we'll talk about now, so you can have a tool that you can use. So in SRI, we talk about 4 seasons. There's discover, transform, awaken, and integrate. Altogether, there are 12 stages, and they're the 12 stages of healing or human experience. They go from suffering or connection all the way through community. And as we track this, we're seeing the stages of human development and how our nervous systems really develop, so that we can go from being stuck in our own experience and thinking that we're alone, all the way through connecting to community and universal source, and being able to have access to giving our gifts and receiving gifts in return. So we'll break that down even more. In Discover, there are 3 stages. There's stage 1, which is connection, stage 2, polarity, and stage 3, stuck. As we go through Discover, it's the stages of development that have to do with being a child. Stage 1, you can imagine a baby in a crib, and it thinks that it's alone, and it'll start to cry out if it's hungry or if it feels unsafe, and it's looking for someone to come save it because it doesn't realize that there's anyone there. So it's that part that can be disconnected in our bodies. When we start to get more energy or we grow up, there's stage 2, which has to do with our limbic system. Our limbic system is our emotions. And that's when we start to deal with polarity. So we're really happy and then we're really sad. Who's ever seen a toddler that can go from laughing to crying in 2 seconds? We've all been there. And then stage 3 is stuck. And we'll find a spot in our body that actually feels stuck or contracted. And this is when our emotional system starts to meet our prefrontal cortex, or our human brain, and we're starting to grow up and develop more. From there, there's more energy in our nervous system, and we can actually handle more things, and that moves us into transform, which has to do more with the mind. In stage 4, we're reclaiming our power and realizing that we do have autonomy, because in the Discover, we're looking at everyone else to either fix it, or it's their problem, or they did this thing that's wrong. Once we move into transform, we're able to take control of our lives so that we can make change for ourselves. Stage 4 has to do with taking your power back and claiming what you really want for your life. Stage 5 is going beyond your old stories and perceptions, realizing that what you thought was true isn't necessarily true and is constantly changing. Stage 6 is preparing for what's to come, realizing that you're ready for all of the change that's happening, and again, claiming more for your life. And stage 7 is generally clearing out all of those things that are no longer serving you. You can imagine you're clearing out your closet and getting rid of all the things from your exes that you've been holding on to, or that shirt that hasn't fit in 7 years. And then as we move into Awaken, we're really using with the soul energetic intelligence, which has to do with the heart, because your heart actually has its own nervous system. And when it can come into more coherence and connection with your central nervous system, then you start to be heart-led instead of head-led, and we make different decisions. Stage 8 is the catharsis after a really big event, when you feel super tired and maybe even drained, but in the best way. Stage 9 is the soul intelligence coming online and realizing our connectedness. Stage 10 is a continuation of that. It's even more energy. Stage 11 is like coming down from that mountaintop experience of stage 10 and realizing you can give your gifts and also receive gifts, and you want to share this with everyone. And stage 12 is unity in community. So you are continuing to give and receive gifts and be connected to everything around you, and not just the people, but the earth and the trees and the heavens, and realizing how connected we all are. That's a lot of information. So today we're just going to go through stages 1, 4, and 12. So you can get a flavor of each season of SRI and really start to see how you can use these tools to transform your experience and transform your life. So we'll start with stage 1. So I'm going to talk through this stage, and then we're going to go through the stage together. With stage 1, it's finding connection from disconnection. So what we're looking at are parts of our bodies that have been disconnected for probably a really long time. Maybe you experienced trauma, maybe you were just really stressed, and a part of you shut down because it couldn't handle what was going on, and you said, I just have to get through this right now. So you said, go sit in the corner. Well, that part is still sitting in the corner and it wants some love. So this will help us deepen connection. It will start the process of AAA, which in this case is awareness, acknowledgement, and acceptance. We can increase our resourcefulness because a lot of the bound tension in our bodies is really energy. So when we say, I have no energy, I'm so tired, the truth is that you just don't know how to access the energy that you really do have. And this can help us do that. And the last piece is bringing us to a more congruent state so that we can be really connected to the emotion, to the sensation, to the feeling in our bodies and what we're feeling around us in our world as well. In stage 1, we have a recipe that we can use. There's a typical structure. So if you decided to get the 12 Stages of Healing, it's a book. That's the book about SRI. You will see how the practice goes. But when we talk about the recipe, you can really make it your own practice, and you can use it at whatever point in your day or in your life that really supports you in whatever you need. So first, we're going to talk about peace. When you're finding peace, and feel free to join along as I'm doing this, you're going to be looking for peace on your upper body. And it's a spot where when you put your hands there, you feel your whole body relax. For me, right now, it's actually right here. I often find it here on me, and that also feels really good. But right now, it's the side of my neck. And when I put my hands here, I can feel my blood pressure decreases and my stomach jitters from being so excited to connect with you guys go away, and my mind quiets down. So go ahead and find that spot of peace on your body. And if your brain turns on and says, I have no clue where that is, it's probably the spot that your hands just naturally go to because they're way smarter than your brain. So when we find that spot of peace, sometimes it's just great to breathe into that area and notice what changes. Because in stage 1, that's what we want to focus on, really connecting to our bodies and starting to listen to what it's telling us. So we can just put our hands there and breathe into that spot. And sometimes that's all you need, and that's a great stage 1 practice. Then there are some times where you really think you want peace. Let's say you have a really busy schedule and you're kind of overwhelmed. You think you want peace, but you have to get some things done. And peace isn't going to help you do that. So what we really need is energy. And what we know is that in your body, you have some muscles that have unlimited resource to energy because they're your fight or flight muscles. And they're going to be your legs. So I'm going to move my camera so you can see my legs better. So you can put your hands on your thighs, and what you'll do is track your hands over your legs. And what you'll find, make sure you can see me a little better. What you'll find is that as you track your hands over your legs, there's going to be a spot where your hands start to stick or jump a little bit. That's because your hands, again, are smarter than your brain. So when your hands feel that area that's really, really energized, they start to sweat and your hands will stick. So it can be on your inner thigh, it can be on your hamstring, it can be on your upper thigh. But when you find that spot, you'll gently press your hands down into your thighs, traction your hands up to your waist, and just breathe into that area. And notice the energy in your body. Notice what changes. Maybe you can breathe deeper, think clearer, or all of a sudden you just feel ready for whatever you need to do. So when you are feeling overwhelmed, energizing your body can get you ready. And then instead of overwhelmed or anxious, you're powerful and ready. The next resource we can use is sound. So in stage 1, we're connecting with different parts of our bodies. We have our peace resource, we have our energy resource. What we're going to be doing with that is connecting it with certain areas of our bodies, either at the collarbones here, the solar plexus here, or the belly button here, that have been feeling either anxious or could use more connection, or they just feel really good to connect to at the time. It doesn't have to be something that's wrong or bad. So if we're connecting to this part, because maybe it just feels like it could use some love, and I'm breathing here, in through my nose, and out through my mouth, what I may notice is that as I'm breathing, I could associate a sound with it. And at first you might say, what does that even mean, a sounds? But our bodies hold frequencies and they hold emotion. So something that's pre-rational, aka before thought, is something that we didn't actually have the capacity to think of. Often when we're in that stage from birth through 2 or 3, we couldn't actually formulate the words, so it's emotion. So when we can connect to that area and express the sound that's under our hands, then you'll feel satisfaction or ease or some type of sensation in your body that tells you that's the right sound. If you're connecting and you're just like, I have no clue what you're talking about, maybe saying this part feels yucky, or this part feels it feels angry. That can start the process of your brain connecting to that frequency. And then eventually, maybe you feel comfortable enough to actually make that sound. So that's also another resource in our recipe. The next piece we'll talk about are words, because words carry a lot of frequency as well. The important phrase that we'll use is sometimes it feels like, because sometimes is not all the time, acknowledging that you don't always feel disconnected. It feels like is also acknowledging that it's a construct of your brain or of your mind. It's not necessarily true. But sometimes it feels like blank. That blank can be, sometimes it feels like I'm so disconnected. Sometimes it feels like I'm so alone. Sometimes it feels like I have to do everything by myself. So whatever your experience is in that moment is absolutely perfect and is what we want to connect to in our bodies. So if I'm in this area, sometimes I feel so overwhelmed. And I notice what changes as I connect to those words. Because when you really acknowledge a part of your subconscious or a part of your system that hasn't felt acknowledged, you'll notice a change in either range of motion of your body, the amount of air you can get into each part, or the energy available to you. So now we're going to put it all together. And how we're going to do that is by checking in with each area and then going back and forth from the area that feels most connected to the area that feels least connected. So go ahead and put your hands on this top position. Your hand positioning, just like you can see in the picture or from my hands here, is just like this. So you want to make sure that your fingers are overlapping your palms. This is important because it helps your brain actually connect. Both sides of your brain are getting the same information. If my hands are like this, that means that my brain is getting different information because my right hand actually goes to my left side, my left hand goes to my right side, and that makes it go, what? So when we can connect like this, it supports our experience and supports that connection even more. So hands are together, up at your collarbone. You'll breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And one more time there, in through your nose and out through your mouth. You'll bring your hands down to your solar plexus and do the same 3 breaths, in through your nose and out through your mouth. 2 more times. And when we're doing this, you want to focus on the breath in that area, the movement of that area, or the connection in that area. And then go to your belly button. If you can increase the range of motion, then you'll help your brain connect even more. So just 2 breaths there. From there, you can notice which spot felt the most connected, the easiest to breathe into, the easiest to move, or the easiest to feel energy in. You'll start there and take 3 breaths there. and take one breath at the spot that felt hardest. And go back to the easy spot for 3 breaths. And then back to the harder spot. And you can keep going back and forth between these two until you notice a change. If you want to get more advanced and add more perspectives, which will support your connection even more, that's where our recipe comes in. So maybe you start with peace right here, and then you bring that peace to an area that felt overwhelmed, and then go through your back and forth. Maybe you start with energy or sound, and if you get really, really advanced, you can combine even more than that. But here's a recipe for you to follow so that wherever you're at in your experience, if you could use more connection or more energy, you can do this. A great place to start is in the morning when you first wake up, because it helps you get more connection to your body in the start of your day. Because how many of us roll over, grab our phones, and disconnect from our bodies and connect to the world before we can even get going. Start with your body and everything else will work out that much better. You'll notice at the bottom, it mentions the amygdala or the lizard brain, because that's the part that's really running the show when we have a stage 1 experience that we can't navigate out of. Suffering is the avoidance of pain. And the more we try to avoid it, the more we're in it. So this can help us connect. So next, we're going to go to stage 4. Stage 4, the energy is increasing exponentially, and we start to use our prefrontal cortex. You'll see in the picture, that's the front of our brain, and it's really our human brain. It requires much more energy in our system and much more organization and order. Stage 4 is characterized by new insight, decision, or awareness. And it's really as we start to recognize our autonomy and our ability to make decisions for ourselves. Because at the end of Discover, when we're in stage 3, we're recognizing that we've been stuck in a pattern, stuck in a way of being that isn't necessarily true for us or serving us. We don't know how to get out of it yet. And in stage 4, we're reclaiming what we really want for our lives and what we'll accept. If you've done any kind of yogic practice, then you've probably done alternate nostril breathing. The biggest thing with this is going to be sticking with it, because as we get into stage 4 and our mind starts to turn on, it's going to challenge the way that we've been living our lives, which doesn't feel safe. And our mind is really there to keep us safe. So again, we downsize our lives if we've been living in those hormones of stress so that we can feel like we're going to be okay. And this is going to increase our energy, increase our ability to handle things, and challenge our status quo. So fingers, you're going to start with your right nose closed. We'll practice the breath first. From here, you'll breathe in through your left nostril, breathe out through your left nostril, and switch. Breathe in, breathe out, and switch. And we're going to be building that breath over a series of, we'll start with 5 breaths, but if you can get up to 10, that's going to be really powerful for you. As you'll probably notice already, you want to make sure your nose is clear. So if you have tissues, go ahead and grab those. Make sure that you're not going to snot all over yourself. So when we're doing this, we have our right hand engaged. If you just don't feel dexterity with your right hand, you can use your left. That's totally okay. But your other hand is going to be on that area of your body that feels really connected and feels a sense of readiness. If at first you're like, I have no clue where that is, go with one and trust yourself. It's probably the right one. So you can go with belly button, solar plexus, or at your collarbones, not on your throat and not on your heart, because those are areas you can use down the line as you develop your SRI practice. So if I have one hand on my belly button and the other hand on my nostrils, then I'm ready to go. The hand that's on my body is going to be increasing, so you can see increasing the range of motion and then contracting back in. And I'm doing that with my breath. What we're doing is setting a new standard for your life and what you'll accept. So you might notice as we're going through this practice that you're like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? Can we just say the things already? Or how am I supposed to connect this and this at the same time and keep a good range of motion? Like, this is too much. And that's often our brain coming in to try to keep us safe and sabotage us really claiming this new standard. So I'm going to invite you to do your absolute best. If you fall off, that's totally fine. Just jump right back in and keep going. And this is going to train your nervous system and train your mind that you can really do whatever you need to. If you start to feel dizzy, take a second, because it's getting more air flowing through your body than you might be used to at one time, and jump back in. You'll notice the statements at the bottom of the screen. Enough of this. Enough of me playing small or accepting things that aren't good for me anymore. Next, we're going to be saying, I take my power, I take my strength, my courage, my health, whatever you want to reclaim, you're taking it back. Because at some point, you were giving it away, probably dishing it out in places that no one even asked for it. And now you're recognizing that you've been siphoning this energy off and you're no longer allowing yourself to do that. So when we get to this point, you can claim whatever feels right for you. And it's absolutely perfect. So do your best to not choose it right now and see what organically comes out of your mouth when we get to this part. And then the last piece, we're acknowledging I deserve so much more than this. And this is so much more than me playing small and disallowing myself from really showing up in the world. Okay, so we're going to be doing 5 alternate nostril breaths and then say, enough of this. We'll go back to breathing and build that breath up again. We'll say, I take my courage back, whatever you want to reclaim. We'll build it up again and then say, I deserve so much more than this. And the more you can really connect these statements, the more you're telling your subconscious mind and your conscious mind and your physiology that you're ready to claim more for your life and set a new standard for what you'll accept. So again, clear your nose, get ready. If you fall off the train, jump right back on and you're perfect. So pick your spot on your body, pick your spot on your nose. You can start with your thumb on your nose, and here we go. Breathe in, out, switch. 4, 5, enough of this. Back to it. 4, I take my power back. 'I deserve so much more than this. And then just let that energy flow through your body. When you do this practice on your own, the more you can build that breath and build that prana or that chi, that life force energy, the more powerful the practice can be for you. So ideally, you'll do about 10 breaths between each statement. And you can even go back and redo a statement if you're like, oh, I wasn't totally invested in that one. You can do this as much as you want because it's your practice and it's your tool to use. It will help your brain turn on if you really need to set that new standard. It will give you more energy and help you take control over your life. And in reality, we don't have control over anything, but we can be more connected to life as we know it. Okay, next, what we're going to move into is stage 12. So once we've moved through this transform stages, which is first reclaiming your power, recognizing that it's time to know what's coming and that you don't know yet, moving into that stage of readiness of, oh crap, I'm really getting ready for this energy and it's kind of scary, but it's also really, really exciting and I'm so ready. And then we move into the clearing out that catharsis and the party pretty much, where all of your parts can come together and be a part of it. And then we move into awaken. And in awaken, our soul energy is engaged, our whole body is energized, and we have way more vitality and access to everything available to us. And we can start to make more connection. So in these, the last 5 stages, 8 through 12, this math is hard sometimes. In stages 8 through 12, this is something you can do every day to connect to soul. And then my invitation is to go back to those discover stages or transform stage that feels really good when you start developing your practice. And it can support you in really understanding your body and understanding the way that your nervous system engages with the world. So for stage 12, stage 12 is unity in community. And what we're doing is connecting to Mother Earth, bringing the energy up through all 7 of our chakras, our whole system. We'll stop at the heart with our hands like this, and then we'll come back up through the rest of the chakras and bring the energy up into the heavens. I'm going to be, well, you should be standing for this one as well. We're all going to stand. So make sure you have a clear space around you. What we're going to be doing is, as you connect to the earth, you're going to breathe in through your nose. And that's when you're tracking up your body, touching all of your chakras, even the root through that 6th position up to your heart, and you're still breathing in. And then you breathe out through your mouth, out through your mouth from your heart into the sky, and then you reverse. So you breathe in through your nose to your heart, and then back to the ground. This one is as involved as you want. You can do as long as you want as well. There's no right way to do any of these exercises because they're you connecting to your body and connecting to the source of energy and intelligence and information around you. Okay, so just like we did with the stage 4, just stay connected to the practice. Move organically. Some people will sway if you have more feminine energy. If you have a lot of masculine energy, you might find that you really want to be in the structure of it, and that's also absolutely perfect. And maybe you have a lot of both and you just have your own practice, and whatever comes out is awesome. Okay, big points, as we already said, make sure you're making contact with every part of your body and follow that rhythm until you feel like it's done with you. I'll go through it a few times with you so that first you can see it, and then we get that collective field moving, because as more people throughout the world are doing stage 12, we're building a field of energy that's available to us all the time, and we can support our communities as well. So we'll do that. If you feel called and led to keep going, please keep going. And just notice what changes in your body. That's the biggest thing. Connecting to your experience and what's being asked to come through you in each moment. So I'm going to go ahead and move my screen so you can see me better. Welcome to my home. And I'm going to back up. So we're going to start on the grounds. Touching the grounds. You're going to come up your body, breathing in to your heart, and then breathe out to the sky. Hold there a little bit and just feel that connection. Feel like there are tendrils of energy coming from your fingers, connecting you into the heavens. From here, we're going to breathe in, connect to your crown chakra, third eye, throat, at the heart. Breathe out all the way down to the earth. And then reverse. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. You can go on your own time until you're done. And when you end, just connect and feel the energy coming down through your fingers into your body and into the floor. Or if you ended at the floor, feel the energy coming up from the grounds into your body and still connecting up into the heavens. You might notice that your hands want to go out or in, just something to be aware of. All perfect. And as you're doing this, you can probably feel that vital energy and that life force moving through your body. It's an amazing way to get connected for your day, to move your energy, and to really experience life flowing through your body. The amazing thing about SRI is that it's non-linear. What that means is that you don't have to do each stage in order. Because as you can probably see by now, it has to do with different parts of your nervous system that have already developed in some sense. Because whatever age you're at, let's say you're 27, let's say you're 48 or you're 69, whatever age you are, you've been through certain levels of development, which means that you have parts of you that are really connected and online, and you have access to that. There are parts of you that could be stuck in a stage of development because of trauma or stress, or just some piece of you that wasn't nurtured in a way that it really was asking to be nurtured. And that part could maybe use some TLC, or maybe use a stern talking to and be told that it's time to grow up and really choose what you want. That's where SRI can come in as a tool, so you can really understand your human experience and maximize it. Because what we're all here for is living our best lives, experiencing more joy, energy, love, allowing yourself to feel sadness so that you can feel even more happiness on the other side. It's a spectrum of emotion and a spectrum of human experience, and it's all absolutely perfect. And this can help you connect to those parts of you that have been disconnected, that are totally online, and those parts of you that are ready to really give their gifts and serve more purpose in the world. So I talk really fast. I'm going to go back through stage 1, stage 4, and then talk through stage 12 so that you really have a handle on this. And then you'll have this tool moving forward. Stage 1, like I said, connection from disconnection. The purpose is to deepen your sense of connection with your body. It's perfect anytime during the day. I'll have a lot of practice members that use this if they're starting to feel anxious in their day, or if they can't sleep at night, because your body is just on go mode. And when we can get it out of go mode and get it into slow mode, you can actually sleep better and not have as much anxiety. So if you're noticing physical ailment or physical symptoms in your body, this is a way to really ask what's going on. And you might notice that it's not even a physical thing, and it's actually an emotional thing. So when you're doing this, the important piece is connecting and asking what your body's really looking for in each moment. When we start the process of becoming aware, acknowledging, and accepting, we can energize our system to move into what's next. Your spot of peace will be on your upper body. It could be on your arms, your neck, maybe your forehead, even the top of your head. Just finding that spot of physiological peace, that when you put your hands there, your system starts to come down. Next, we have energy. You'll find it on your thighs. And you're going to traction up towards your waist, breathing into that spot. As you do that, you'll notice more energy moving through your whole system. When we do this, we're getting our bodies ready to go. Because what we know is that our hands actually feel 70% more than we consciously can acknowledge. So when you're breathing into that spot, you're supercharging your hands with energy, or you're supercharging your hands with peace. And then when you bring it to an area of your body that's felt overwhelmed, you're bringing that same resource to that area. With sounds, and if it's totally foreign to you and you're very uncomfortable with it, you can use a word and say it feels yucky, or it feels uncomfortable, or it feels gross, whatever word really comes to mind for you. If you can express the emotion, that will really help your body connect even more. So expressing that sound and knowing that whatever sound comes out is perfect, unless it's like an elephant sound or like me, because that's probably your mind making something up. And it will do that as often as it can. When it comes to words, it's the same thing, acknowledging your human experience and what really needs to be seen in each moment. Because stage 1 is kind of the process of opening up your basement door after you've been throwing boxes down there for years. Say, I don't want to deal with that right now. So you open the door and you throw it in. In our stage 1 process, we're saying, oh, right, what's down there? And we're starting to bring the boxes up and discover what's in there that we've been hiding away. So what we're looking for in this practice is easing that disconnection or distress and building more connection where there was a lack of it. This whole process can be done in a minute. Maybe you wake up in the morning, you're like, I just can't do this today. And you just connect to your body and you take 3 breaths in each spot and that's it. Absolutely perfect. Maybe you're super gung-ho and you spend an hour seeing how you can track connection from here that feels really connected all the way down to your belly button that felt super disconnected. And you start here and say, oh, connection here, connection here. Wait, what? I'm supposed to breathe here? I have lungs here? And that whole hour can be spent just seeing how you can have even more connection in each spot. But whatever you decide you want your stage 1 practice to be is absolutely perfect and can change day to day and minute to minute. As we get more connection, we can start to move into really reclaiming what we want for our lives, and we can reclaim our personal power. For stage 4, it's that nose breath. So with one hand and the other hand, we'll connect to our bodies and build that range of motion. I'm exaggerating my back right now. I don't want you to be doing the worm while you're doing stage 4. All of these practices, at least 1 through 7, will ideally be done laying on your back, actually, with your knees bent. So let's see if you can see. I'll be just like this. Stage 4, hands like this, going through it. And that will help your brain disengage so you can just be in the practice and not have to think about your postural muscles and your surroundings. But I'm going through building up my prana, building up my chi and my energy and my resolution and my resolve to really change my life. And I'll say, enough of this. I take my power back, or I take my strength back. I deserve so much more than this. And it's setting that flag in the stand of I will no longer accept this for myself, and I'm choosing differently moving forward. Extremely powerful practice. If you find that you only want to do that once a month, totally normal. It's not necessarily something you do every week unless you have a lot of things that you need to change or want to change. And then we can move into the soul energy, and that's unity in community, connecting to the heavens through all of the chakras down into the earth. It's an amazing way to start your day, let me tell you, and will help you feel so much more connected to yourself and to everyone around you as you go through your day. So make sure you're making contact with the ground. You can open up your root as you're down there and kind of hang out, feeling the energy of the earth. Let it pull up through your body, connecting to all of your parts. Breathe at your heart a little bit, and then move your hands up as you breathe out into the heavens, and then reverse on the way back down. This is your practice, and you can flex flow as much as you want to. So please make it whatever feels organic and natural for you. Like I said, I'm a network spinal chiropractor, and SRI is one of my passions, I hope you can tell, because it's really changed my life. These are just 3 of the 12 stages, and they are extremely powerful, and every other one has its place and really can support your experience of life. Stages 2 and 3 especially, all of those discover stages are really juicy because many of us had points in our childhood where our loved ones were doing the absolute best they need to do in each moment, the absolute best they could do in each moment, and it wasn't what we felt we needed to really thrive. So we survived. And we can start to reparent ourselves and reconnect to our bodies and our spirit and our mind so we can change our experience of our lives and what we'll accept moving forward. So I'm going to move into questions. If you have any, please ask. I'm not exactly sure how to open it up for Q&A. So we'll go into that now. If you do have a question, raise your hand. I will see there's someone in the chat.
Yeah, I'll read them for you, Danny.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so we have a chat question. This is from Alexandra. She says, question, in regards to frequency, why the differences in HQ, 528, 423, etc.? Do certain areas of the body need more or less hertz?
So I'm going to be honest, I have no clue. When it comes to the frequency that we talk about, it's more of the energetic frequency of the emotion. I don't know the specific number, but it's connecting outside of the mind. Like when I hear like going into specific numbers, for me at least, that's more my mind coming on and trying to understand and pigeonhole things. So the biggest thing is just connecting to that part with whatever it's asking for in that moment. And that probably doesn't answer your question, so I apologize for that. But that's the best of my ability, and I will definitely be looking that up moving forward. So thank you for bringing that into my awareness.
Okay. Did anyone else wanted to unmute and ask a direct question for Danny? Okay. Well, I have some questions. If anyone else, we can catch you right after. Oh, wait. Rafaela, did you have a question?
I had a quick question for Denny. When you place both of your hands, place both the hands on the neck, where you said this is where your peace is, and it was interesting that I felt like almost like some like I was being held in a sense. So it made me think about babies, you know, when they're first born, and we have to make sure that we're holding their neck so that when they're bopping their heads, they're not going to fall. What is the connection to that? Like I thought about, is that what I'm connecting to for that moment as a baby when someone was actually holding my neck to make sure that I didn't, you know, is that the connection because when you say peace, that's what I felt like, something was holding me per se, and not much my own hands.
That's very possible because our nervous system holds memory. And not memory in the sense that we think of, but in tactile touch. Like you can be touched in a certain way and go back to another experience. So if at some point in your development you were held like that and felt really safe and seen, then that could be very true that that's what you're experiencing. It's almost like you're holding yourself as well.
Got it. Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Did anyone else have a question? Kristen, did you have a question? You may have to unmute if you do.
Yeah, okay, I just unmuted.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I just want to say hi to Danny and hey. And I guess my question would be, you know, SRI, you know, happens first with us. And my question is, there's just so much going on in the world right now, and we're going through all of these transitions and unveilings. And how do you see maybe SRI as a tool for all of us, you know, in community? I guess I'm in stage 12 right now. And how do you see that working kind of on a maybe conscious activism level? Because there's so many of us that need the change, want the change. We know this world is changing rapidly. And how does SRI play a role in all of that?
Awesome. Thank you for that question. As I said, with the stage 12, when more people are doing that practice or setting the intention of connecting and bringing community to others, then we get the communal field in that same frequency. So if you're doing stage 1 for yourself, awesome, it'll support you. If you're doing stage 1 for the world, then the whole world is receiving that frequency. If you're doing your stage 4 and your intention is to reclaim a new standard for your community or for your family, then that stage 4 energy is enveloping them as well. So the more of us can engage in that energetic and decide that this is what we're doing and do it for the world, we can change not just our own experiences, but as you said, we can start to set that standard of love, of change for everything around us. So awesome question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Because I've never heard that exactly phrased the way you have. I think that's so helpful. Because sometimes if I'm doing stage 1, I feel like, oh, it's just me, or I'm stuck in the suffering, and so I think that it's all about me. But actually, what you're saying is, I don't have to think about it in those ways at all. I could actually be a part of community while I do that.
Exactly. We'll do it for our practice all the time. So my business partner and I, in the morning, we'll say we're going to do stage 3 for the office, and we'll connect to a feeling of stuckness in what we're experiencing, and then throughout the day actually see the office change. So it's really powerful, especially in network. We talk about internals and externals. As an external, as I know Kirsten is, then the more outside you can get and connect to that soul field, the more things can change for everyone. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, excellent question, Kristen. Okay, I have a question. SRI, how long has it been around as far as a modality?
great question. So Donnie Epstein is the founder and developer of SRI and network spinal, which is the technique I practice in chiropractic. I want to say he started developing it in the 90s, in the late 80s, in that time frame, and it's been a process over time. So if you start studying SRI more, you'll even find that there are some Kundalini practices, and there are different meditations and belief and practices that are brought into SRI. So it's been developing over 20 to 30 years.
Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question, and then if anyone else has any questions, you can jump in. How does SRI in your practice deal with two scenarios? One, someone that may have PTSD, and how does that help them in regards to countering PTSD? And how does your practice, or have you ever worked with anyone that has autism, and is it also helpful in that?
Yeah, great questions. And for both of them, they're absolutely helpful for both. When it comes to PTSD, it's post-traumatic stress disorder, right? And when we experience trauma and we don't have enough energy to experience it, then it's experienced as trauma, because our system is in overload and it goes to shut down and it gets stuck somewhere in our wiring and our experience. If we can experience that with more energy, then it can be experienced as growth, and we have a different perspective or perception of it. And it's not like cut and dry, easy, just done all the time. It can be, but how SRI comes in is that it starts to energize those parts and can bring safety and connection to a part that previously felt totally disconnected. And then that same energy from that PTSD or that trauma can be experienced with more safety and ease, and can experience or can change the experience of whatever that trauma was. So I have many practice members that do have PTSD, and I've been navigating that for a long time. And when they bring SRI into their practice, they can actually re-engage their nervous systems and experience it in a different way, and often finds that that trauma is actually one of their greatest gifts, because it opens up the gift that was brought from the wound. So that's the PTSD. I hope that answers that piece. When it comes to autism, for many children with autism, there's just a lot going on in their environment and they don't know how to process it. So when it comes to connecting to the body and bringing more awareness there, if they're external and they're living internally, or vice versa. And what that just means is how you orient yourself to your environment or yourself. But when you can start to really connect to what's going on in your personal experience, it can make everything else make a little bit more sense and feel more safe. So it can bring safety to a system that feels really unstable and change the way that they interact with their environment. So we've seen a lot of progress and a lot of benefit for children that do have autism with SRI and network spinal.
Excellent. And well, again, if anyone else has a question, I don't want to hog all the questions, but I did jot mine down. If anyone else has a question, you could jump in. If not, I have two more.
Great.
One of the things that I saw in your presentation was touch and sound.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in regards to intimacy, how does intimacy play into, because you said your body's very intelligent, does your body during intimacy automatically apply some of these SRI principles, or well, that's the question. Does your body automatically apply some of those principles because your body's intelligent, and intimacy kind of takes care of that? Or is SRI kind of mirroring what your body would do during intimacy?
Well, when I hear intimacy, one of the things I think of is into me, I see, right? Mm-hmm. So as you're connecting, intimacy starts with yourself, and SRI is that practice of understanding yourself and what you want. And so if we're talking about intimacy with someone else, another person, the more connected and safe you feel in your experience, the more you can bring that to your relationship as well. Whatever kind of intimacy, whether it's just vulnerability and conversation or if it's physical intimacy, the more we can have that in our own experience, the more we can have that with someone else. The SRI practice can start to seem like that intimate experience with another because we're developing that with ourselves first. So you'll see different movements, different patterns that are really just natural human behavior that we've been taught to think that is other or different or only for certain times, when it's really, really organic and natural for us.
Got it. Mm-hmm. And my last question is, in order to enhance the energy, do any of the external things such as juicing, vitamins, does it help to make the SRI experience better? Are there foods that you can eat to enhance the experience of the energy and the overall SRI experience?
When it comes to nutrition, this is really a great place to start developing awareness of your own body. So I know there are some people I know that do great on a carnivore diet, right? They're only eating meat and they feel amazing, and even their health metrics are phenomenal. And there are some people that have to be on a vegan diet and they feel amazing. And some people are omnivores and they feel amazing. So when it comes to SRI, that's really where it can start to develop your awareness and connection to your body so that you can understand that piece better. So it can help you choose your nutrition that's really good for you, and vice versa. If you start in a nutrition program and then you start an SRI and notice that something feels off or different, that's data as well. So really, I see SRI as the way that helps you connect to your body enough to make those decisions on the outside, because you're coming from a place of connection here and not choosing to juice because you're avoiding disease or you're avoiding something. The reason you add these practices in, supplements or nutrition, is because you're adding health. And that can really come from finding more connection in your body and starting with an awesome SRI practice.
And the last question, I know I had a last question before, but one last question. Is SRI, does it fall within the body hacking space that's becoming really popular now? Is it a form of body hacking? Biohacking, I'm sorry.
I totally think it is, because you're hacking into your human experience, you know? Like when we can, if you are going on stage, let's say you have a huge presentation and you need to be on and be ready, doing some stage 7 can get your whole system energized and totally clear. Or stage 6, so you're absolutely ready and you come out with transform energy of like, nothing's getting in my way because I am here and I am ready to serve. So you can get yourself into that space. If you are going into a really polarized situation with a family or friend or our world right now, and you want to make sure that you aren't polarized yourself so you can be really clear, you can do stage 2 and start to understand, oh, maybe it's my energetics that's informing the world around me. So in that sense, you can absolutely biohack and change your experience. And it's so awesome and exciting.
Excellent. Well, if anyone else has any questions, I wanted to thank you, Danielle Stetzel, Dr. Danielle Stetzel, for an awesome presentation. I think that this is an area that needs to be explored more. Now, your practice,
I have
is
a question.
Something that, okay,
I'm sorry.
Has a question? Okay.
I was in and out of the video. I'm not sure if you named the book again.
It's The 12 Stages of Healing. The author is Donnie Epstein.
Thank you.
There's a workbook that will help you go through the exercises, and then there's a regular literature book that will talk through more of the consciousness and the thought process. It's super valuable. The workbook will help you actually go through things better.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if no one else has any questions, Dr. Danielle Stetzel, as far as your practice, now is that something that you, with now social distancing, do you offer consults remotely, or does someone have to come in? How does that part work to engage with you?
So for Network Spinal, it is still an in-office experience.
Okay.
In Phoenix, but I also can do remote SRI I do remote coaching. So that's something, if you were interested in, I could absolutely do, and you could engage with me over Facebook, direct message, and Instagram. Either of those is absolutely perfect. If you're in Phoenix and want to get network care, I would love to take care of you. If you're looking for a network practitioner, wherever you are, I can direct you to one, because it's changed my life, and I'd love to provide that resource with you.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to just queue up. If you don't mind stopping your screen, just so we can close out properly. And I want to thank you again for coming out. And I will share my screen if anyone else is interested in additional information. Bear with me. And let's get some more information about Danny. Third generation chiropractor. Both parents, grandfather, practiced structural adjusting. By age of 10, she knew she was going to be a chiropractor. She joined Breathe Chiropractic, formerly Solomon Chiropractic, in June of 2019 after finishing her doctorate of chiropractic at Sherman College of Chiropractic in Spartanburg, South Carolina. The first quarter of school, she was introduced to network spinal analysis, which she now practices in its upgraded version, network spinal. At the time, an unfamiliar technique, but as soon as she realized the transforming power of this work, she knew this was the way she had to help people. So I hope that our audience was able to benefit. This is Daniel's information. Again, if you're in Phoenix, or as she mentioned, if you'd like to reach out and do any kind of remote SRI, her information is on the screen, on Facebook, and on Instagram, Breathe Chiropractic PHX, which is for Phoenix. Phone number and website, breathechiro.com, is on the screen. Danny, thank you again. And for everyone else, and Danny, if you'd like to join us, we're going to continue this journey. We have another 17 days to go. And this is our second run at the 30-day redemption. So information like yours and others have been really helpful in helping people to get their life and get their life together. So we appreciate it. And hopefully we will see you all in the future. Have a wonderful day and take care.
Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much.
Danny.
You're welcome.